Hello everyone, welcome back. This is part 3. Take a screenshot if you plan on building one yourself, but here are the measurements and the angles that I found as I was proceeding through this project. And then here is the most of the actual hardware that I used. I think this is pretty much everything except for some lock washers. I do bring it up again later, but let's jump right into it. All right, here in part 3, the first thing I'm doing here is aligning the angle brackets that will mount to the top of the cab. The one side has already been tacked on, and now I'm taking measurements to each side to put them in the same place. That little bit you might be off is insignificant, but if they're within 1 millimeter on each side, that's totally going to be acceptable. And I think I got it closer than that. Using the back side of a caliper, I was able to really get them in place. Then I tack welded the other side on. I found it easier just to use a Mig Welder for this project rather than get out the TIG welder. You know, TIG welder obviously would have put out nicer welds, but the Mig Welder was just faster, and that's what I chose to do. All right, so here you can see I'm just grinding off the welds that were holding the two pieces together. And now if you tap where the welds are after they've been ground off with a hammer, it will create cracks through aluminum. Aluminum is known to crack. And so what I did by grinding off the tack welds and then tapping it, I created that crack because there was no structural integrity behind it anymore. And now the two pieces are equal and they have the bolt holes and all that stuff in the same place. So now let's pick back up that Mig Welder and with the spool gun and just weld it all together. So that was what I did there. Here I'm using the Milwaukee right angle die grinder to clean it up. And now we are cleaning up the welds from welding on those brackets. Be a little careful here when you're welding these, if you're doing it this way, as the welding did want to warp my my rails. All right, so this is how you open up the top of the roof. You're going to cut the little holes that they're kind of just taped over and then painted when they go through the factory. So you just cut them open, and then there's threaded nuts or inserts inside of there for you already. There's 5 on each, or 5 on each side. I forget the thread pattern and pitch and stuff. So it came out excellent. They came out straight, and here you go. You can look right down that line and see that they're straight on there. And the next job is going to be to paint it. All right, so the first thing I did getting ready to paint was sand and acetone it, and then we got out the Raptor liner. Now I'm painting multiple projects here, but I definitely should have protected the grass better than I did. This is most of the hardware that I used to build the roof rack. I am missing a couple little things like lock washers and stuff, but you may want to take a picture of this or snap a screenshot. And I ordered this stuff from McMaster, so that is where you will find these part numbers. This is the silicone I chose to use. It is an excellent professional grade silicone. It's also UV resistant. I love this stuff. It's my go-to. I do recommend it. You can find it at any of the big box stores.
So each bolt is going to get a lock washer and a black washer. Unfortunately, I didn't get black bolts. That might be something and black lock washers. That might be something you want to look for instead of silver. Nobody's going to see them, and I don't care. The same concept would go with the spacers, the 1-inch spacers right here. These are silver. You could probably get them in black as well, and I didn't think of ordering them in black, or I just don't remember. They may have been significantly more expensive.
All right, now we're going to add some silicone to our bolt holes and bolt down our roof rack rails. Now don't do the silicone first. I'll explain later in the video why, but what we're going to do is first you want to bolt it in, and you want to actually install it without the silicone and get your measurements. Get front, back, middle, figure out exactly what your crossbars are going to be, And then let's head to the miter saw and cut our crossbars. Take your time, measure them perfect, eye it all up. I'm using the Diablo blade for aluminum. Does great, cuts right through it. No! Okay, so don't do what I did. Use oil. That's the problem. I went in there dry, and the bits here used for this process should be used very slowly with oil, and they are very brittle. So that's like the third time I've broken one. Generally, when I use enough oil, I don't have that problem, but everything is, so you're supposed to be very careful. All right, here we go. Next process is drilling in the slots, so that way we can add in like sliders later. I have my mag drill set up and some bolts in the holes, so that way I can just drop it in and drill it. Now we're using the angle grinder with some carbide tipped blades to cut away and smooth it. I didn't show that I also used some sandpaper to clean them up so they're smooth there. And then we're going to install them all. At this point, another reason you don't want silicone is because you have to loosen everything up so you can slide in your bars and get them all in together. Here we go. It's looking fantastic. Let's talk real quick about order of operations and how you should put this together. Because the crossbars weren't cut right away because I wasn't sure exactly how far it would be from here to here, like exactly. So here's what you want to do. First, bolt these your rails in. That would be this piece right here. Bolt them in dry, so you're not putting any silicone on it. Bolt them in the way they're supposed to be. Just take the extra few minutes to do so. Each side, snug them. It doesn't have to be perfectly tight, and get your front back measurement, your middle measurement, and figure out what what your crossbar length will be. Mine ended up being 47 3/4. Based on everything I did, yours would probably be close if you're following my measurements, but maybe not perfect. You might be able to get 48, maybe 47 and a half. I don't know. So start there. Get those up. Now, once you're done, take these off, and you're going to be, if you don't want to retape up the holes with like some Gorilla waterproof tape, then what you want to do is you want to get this done in a single day. So what the next part is to you have your measurement, cut all your rails. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 rails across the top, plus the bottom holes are there for a little bit of design, and I'm going to mount like some rings on the inside for tying down. But otherwise, cut your holes. I used a 9. I used a bit. The bit that you watched me drill was 9/16 of an inch. There, 9/16 of an inch for those. So drill all of them, get them all set up, then put them in. Right. I had a towel on that side as I put the 2 bolts in here, and then I went over to that side and put that side in nice and soft. Get all the bolts in so they are snug, right? Or not snug. I'm sorry, a little loose, like a 1/4 inch loose. Then come around and snug them all. I went from front to back on both sides and snug them all together. This one ended up perfectly straight, so I know that worked well. I went all front to back, and I came over here front to back, and that worked really well. Now the next thing after you have your crossbars in, that's snugged, now go out and remove the crossbars. Like I have one missing here where the bolt holes are. Don't install the crossbars in those locations, so you can pull out the screws, and you can remove the lubricant. You can add lubricant to all the threads. Make sure you remove the little spacer, and you get lube in the threads. You put enough down there. You put like your Hershey Kiss size is what somebody else had said, perfect size. And then I also added some lube down into the middle, and then I put my bolt in. And then I went to each one and did them both. And I actually started here, and I tightened all the way up
to the roof from that side and then that side. Now the rack was already tightened together, but then to the rack to the roof, I tightened up here at the end. And that's how I put everything together. I made a few mistakes and I ended up backtracking a few ways, but that's how you want to get it done. All right, so here we go. This is the finished product right here. So let's go over a few things. Let's go over a few of the problems that I had and how I solved them. All right, so to start with, I didn't have the fairing on, and so I just had the extruded aluminum there and then all the way across. So that the first problem I had while just driving with just extruded aluminum is once I hit 40 miles per hour, the entire thing started to vibrate and shake, and it sounded like I was riding on really, really warped and out of balance mud terrain tires. And so the first thing that I did was I just grabbed a fairing I had, an old fairing, which is currently up there. That's actually a Yakima fairing. It's an older version and it's flipped upside down and turned around backwards so you can't see Yakima, but that's what that is. And it ended up fitting just as you can see. And so I put that on, I drilled the holes across it, and with drilling the holes across it, I then took it out for another ride and I was able to get to 55, 60 miles per hour, and then it started vibrating. So the next thing I did was I added this lip, just like Prinsu does. You can buy this lip right here, and what it is it catches on, and let's get that to focus a little better. There we go. It catches on, and then right here there's like a half-inch seal, and that touches the hood or the roof of the truck. So first you have this, I'll leave a link to this, what this is below, but first you have this, let me get up top. Okay, so here we go. Let's see, I'm not really using a macro lens or anything, but okay, so first what it is it goes around with, there's some metal in it, you can see the metal there, and then underneath is a just your foam standard seal underneath it right there, you can see that, and that meets up with the hood. Now the first time I did that, I had one of these with just this this like rubber that goes around the fairing, and that really didn't do it. It wasn't touching the roof. Once I added the one with the rubber on it, it actually touches the roof, and that prevented the vibrating of the fairing, which was perfect. But then I was driving, and so I wanted to test to see if there was any more vibration, and I found that there was vibration up around 80 miles per hour. And that 80 miles per hour ended up being this one. I reached up, I put my hand up here, and it ended up being this one was doing the most of the vibrating, because this had stopped with this seal, and this now vibrated when I was touching it. And so I just wanted to change up the wind aerodynamics, and I just ran this 80 paracord around it. I put a bolt here, and I have one on the other side that it's it's connected to both just to keep it screwed down, and that ended up solving that problem. And now I have no more vibration in the rack. So all vibrational problems solved. I know it was a step-by-step process, but that's exactly how I ended up doing it. So to solve this quickly, or to tell you what to do quickly, make sure you have a fairing. And what I recommend is just seeing if somebody has an old Yakima fairing, or picking one up on eBay or something like that, because it actually contours the hood, the roof of the car really, really well. I'm even going to use that as my template, which is kind of cool. Let's see, let's get a, there you go. See, look how nicely that contours the roof line. All right, so what my plan is now for the future with the fairing is, because I'm undecided whether I'm gonna have a light bar up there or not, I'm not going to do anything right away. So this is the end of the project for now.
I'm going to use this fairing until I decide whether I'm going to go with a light bar or not, what light bar I'm going to go with, yada yada. So what I'm going to do is, when I eventually get to that process, I'm going to use this fairing, and I'm going to just take a piece of aluminum and I'm going to trace this fairing onto that piece of aluminum, cut it out, and then I'll just, you know, I'll make it probably a little longer because I do want it to go all the way to the sides. I don't want that 2-inch gap. I believe this is the 44-inch fairing. If you're curious, you can probably grab the 52-inch fairing and get the same rough bend. So definitely find the old Yakima. As you can see, let's see if I can get in there. Is it on this side? Oh no, you can't see. I was going to show you, it says Yakima back up in the back, but you can't see it. So that is how I solved all of my problems. Otherwise, it's sturdy, it's fantastic. When I get a light bar up there, I will probably end up with vibrational problems again. Maybe, maybe not, but the fairing, probably not actually. With the fairing being built around the light bar, I think all of the vibrational problems will be gone. So there you have it. I think it looks fantastic. It really comes together with the bed rack. Let me come to this side. It really comes together with the bed rack. And I'm truly, truly happy with the way it came out. All right, I'm gonna, there we go. All right, so I had an individual on part 2 ask about how I did the brackets. So I just took some 1/4-inch, 90-degree structural bracket. It was a 4x3-inch, and then I cut it. Like you can see that size and that size have different lengths. So I actually chopped them down to where they needed to be. And what I did was, because the angle was less than 90 degrees, if 87 degrees, if I remember correctly, check Instagram. I've got the actual picture up there with the measurements that you need. And all the measurements came out fantastic. I didn't have to drill or add any extra holes. Everything worked out. So what I did was I sliced right behind the bolt. You can see there's another weld seam in the back corner there. And what I did was I took that aluminum, because it was 6000 series, and so I knew it was gonna break, and I re-welded that seam. I just cut it with a grinder, and I re-welded that seam so that way I could re-anneal the metal and make it strong again, and I shouldn't have to worry about that at all. If I just cut it and then left it, that would be something to worry about. Now, if you are looking to make this, you can do this whole project as a bolt together project. So let's quickly talk about that. This whole project could be a piece of steel right there, like all of these brackets, that one, the one right there, that one right there, and you know, all of these brackets could be steel. And what you could do is bend them to the appropriate size, you know, drill the holes separately, and then put 2 holes, like one there and one there, on that back bracket, and just bolt right through this, right? And if you paint everything with the rhino liner or whatever you tried to do, all you're gonna end up with is 2 bolt holes about here, here, and here, okay? And then you're going to end up with a singular bolt hole. Actually, you probably want 2 so it doesn't rotate on you. And then you're gonna end up with 2 bolt holes here and here. And then you'll just have to work around how you're going to be mounting your crossbars. You'll have to figure that out separately. I've got these random singular ones because I added some tie down spots right here, and that's what this random bolt is. I don't like how it looks open, so I'm gonna probably add another one next to it just as some extra, but you can see there's a tie down bolt under it just so I can grab them. Yes, you actually could make this whole project without welding at all. The only thing you might still want to do is figure out how to clamp the 2 sides together, this side and that side, as you are drilling the holes, so you know all of the holes on each side are exactly identical. So you could just use some clamps that you never take off until the end, and make
the whole process do. You know, like if you're using 6 clamps and you just move the clamps around, but you never take all the clamps off, you like add a clamp, remove a clamp, add a clamp, remove a clamp. You could probably do this whole project bolt together. And you don't have to do any welding at all. And you can get the same look if you like it. I'm not sure. I'm ecstatic about the look. I love the way I cut it out. It really came together. So if you have any questions, definitely leave them below and I'll probably answer there. If not, maybe maybe I'll put up a little thing on Instagram or something like that to answer questions or take a picture or whatever it might be. All right. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Don't forget to subscribe because it's free and because you're awesome.